everyone, I'm Lois and this is Aussie Lozzie Knit Designs. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to do the Old Norwegian cast-on method. We are doing a series in Knit Bits on cast-on methods, and we just went over the different cast-ons that could be considered basic cast-on methods, and this was one on the list that I personally had never done before, and I thought it'd be fun to take a look at that and teach you guys how to do it as well. So I am going to switch to my hands real quick and we will get started. There we go. Okay, so I have a lot of things on my desk here. Sorry about that. Let's just go over what's going on. So I have, first of all, this is how I learned to do this cast-on method, is using this book, Cast On Bind Off by Leslie Ann Bestor. I keep talking about that in this series because it's a really valuable resource and it's just absolutely beautiful. It lays flat. So that's how I learned to do the cast-on. I have that here with me. And then of course I was practicing before today, so I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing before I taught you guys. And so I did practice it, and I cast on with some super bulky yarn, and you can see this cast on edge here. So let me hold it closer and hopefully you can see that. As soon as I cast on with this cast on, I was like, this cast on would be fabulous and kind of invisible with a garter stitch fabric. So I didn't do garter stitch fabric because I actually wanted you guys to see what is the cast on edge more clearly. But when I show you how to do the Old Norwegian cast on, then I will be knitting a little bit with garter stitch so we can see if it does do what I think it will. All right, so I'm going to put this aside and we're going to get started. So I've just got a pair of knitting needles here and my yarn. Now the Old Norwegian cast-on method is very similar to the long tail cast-on method. So if you have done that cast-on method before, this one will be really easy. And the first thing you want to do is measure for a long tail. I'm not going to go into how to do that in today's video, but I do have a video on YouTube that does talk about measuring for a long tail, as well as a blog post that you can go check out if you're not familiar with how to do that. All right, and then the next thing I want to tell you is that I'm going to cast on about 20 stitches. We'll see how long the yarn lasts me since I didn't measure. I think I have plenty, but we're going to do 20. The first thing we want to do is make a slip knot, and so I'm just going to make that slip knot real quick. And because this is like the long tail cast on, we actually are going to put our yarn, the slip knot on our right hand needle. And then we want to go ahead and tighten that up. And now we're getting ready for the next part that, again, if you're familiar with long tail, should be pretty easy. And that is how to hold slingshot pose. So I'm going to put the yarn in my hand and close my ring finger and my pinky over the yarns and then bring that around. Okay. Next, I'm going to take my index finger and my thumb and insert them between the two strands and open it up so that it looks like a slingshot, which is why this is slingshot pose, right? Because it looks like I can sling my knitting needle at someone. I'm not going to do that, but I could. All right, so after that, the next step, again, it's really similar, but there's just a little bit of a twist. So we're going to do this. Let me just move that to make sure that you guys can see everything really clear. No distractions. Okay. So we're going to bring our knitting needle down and under both of the yarns, both of them, not just one. And then we're going to take our knitting needle and kind of loop it through the loop that we just made. Because what we're doing right now is we're making a hole. Can you see this hole? This is where we're going to insert our yarn through to cast this on. So you want to, let me do that again. I got so loose. Okay. So we pick up both yarns and then we use our knitting needle to kind of press down on the closest to the knitting needle yarn and create a loop by moving our thumb towards our index finger, right? So we've done this little twist. Next, I'm going to take my right hand knitting needle and I am going to grab this yarn from my index finger and pull it through that loop on my thumb. Then I can release and I just cast on a stitch. Okay, let's see if we can do that again. So we're going to take our right hand needle, point it towards us, pick up both yarns from our thumb. We're going to twist our needle back towards the thumb and push down on the yarn that was on the inside of our thumb, creating a loop. We're going to turn our thumb towards our index finger. Then we're going to swing our knitting needle up and over towards the index finger. We're going to grab that yarn off of our index finger and bring it through the loop that we just made. And then we're going to release everything and we've cast on another stitch. So I'm going to just keep doing this, and if you're following along, just to learn the cast on, you could be doing that too. Knitting. So I've got my cast on edge done. I'm going to grab my needle and I'm just going to knit. Now, so this is my cast on edge. And then my garter stitch fabric. And it's not perfectly seamless, but it's pretty darn close, don't you think? I think it's really pretty. Let's look at the other side. The other side looks kind of like there were two purl rows in a row. So that's interesting. But the right side, I like the way that looks. I think next time I do a garter stitch thing, I'm going to use the Old Norwegian cast on because I like how that looks mostly seamless. Yeah, so just to recap, so this was the Old Norwegian cast on with stockinette fabric, and you can see that it's real bumpy. And then if you look at the back, I mean, yeah, that looks like all purl all the time. Yeah, and then this was knit with garter stitch, and so it's kind of seamless, and I like that. I like it a lot. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, would you please hit like, share, and subscribe to my channel? I'll be back soon with the cast on series continuing in knit bits, and we'll be learning about another category of cast ons. So I'll see you then. Bye bye.